This story is inspired by a real incident that happened to a guy named John during his college days. John used to work part-time at a small pizza shop. One night around 1 a.m., just as he was about to finish his shift and head home, the shop's phone rang. At first, John thought of declining the order since the shop had already closed for the day. But the size of the order meant a good tip, and John really needed the money, so he accepted it. The delivery address was far from the city, in a forested, isolated area. John hopped on his bike and set out with the pizzas. The road was deserted and rough. Dense trees lined both sides, and not a single streetlight was working. It was pitch dark everywhere. After a long, nerve-wracking ride, John finally reached the address. It was an old, abandoned-looking house deep inside the forest. No lights were on, and there was no sign of life. It looked like no one had lived there in years. John got nervous. He tried calling his manager to explain the situation and return, but no matter how many times he tried, the manager didn't pick up. He knew if he went back without delivering the pizzas, his manager would get angry and possibly cut his pay. So John gathered courage and decided to approach the house. Just then, a light turned on inside the house. That gave John a little confidence. Maybe someone really was home. He rang the doorbell and called out loudly, "Pizza delivery!" But there was no response. He rang the bell again, and this time he heard footsteps from inside. Yet still, no one opened the door. He was about to leave when suddenly, the door slowly creaked open on its own. John hesitantly stepped inside. There was a dim light in the hall, but no one around. He called out, "Hello? Anyone there? Please take your pizza." Suddenly, a wild cat darted across the hall and ran into a room. As soon as the cat entered the room, the lights turned on and the TV started playing, with the sound of children laughing mischievously. John thought someone was playing a prank on him. Annoyed, he entered the room and found two little girls sitting quietly. They were both staring at John with cold, unblinking eyes. He said angrily, "I've been ringing the bell for ages. Why didn't you open the door? Is there an adult here? I need someone to make the payment." The girls said nothing. They just kept staring at him, emotionless. John repeated, "I'm here to deliver the pizza. Where's your guardian?" Suddenly, their eyes turned completely white, and their silence transformed into a creepy, echoing laughter. They slowly pointed toward the back of the room. John turned around and was paralyzed with fear. Standing behind him was a terrifying shadow of a woman. The pizza boxes fell from his hands. Terrified, he ran toward his bike. That ghostly woman and the two girls stood silently at the doorway watching him leave. John sped off, but just a short distance ahead, his bike began making strange noises and then stalled. He got off and noticed that his bike tire was punctured. Panicking, he immediately called the police for help. He looked around nervously, and then his eyes caught something in the rearview mirror. What he saw made his blood run cold. The same woman and the two girls were standing right behind him, slowly walking toward him. John ran blindly into the forest, gasping and stumbling. Eventually, he hid behind a large tree, praying for his life. After a few tense moments, he heard the sound of police sirens in the distance. Mustering every ounce of strength, he ran back toward his bike. By the time he reached, the police were already inspecting it. John told them everything and led them back to the house. The police searched the place thoroughly, but all they found was that same wild cat. No woman, no girls, no sign of anyone ever being there. The next day, John learned a horrifying truth. That house had been abandoned for over 3 years, and 3 years ago, a woman and her 2 young daughters had lived there, until one night, all 3 were brutally murdered. John was in shock. Now he knew. What he saw that night were not living people. They were the spirits of the woman and her daughters. And perhaps they are still trapped in that house to this day. After that horrifying night, John quit his job as a pizza delivery boy. Even now, whenever he remembers that night, he trembles in fear. If this story gave you chills, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, the next time you get a late-night delivery call, think twice before saying yes.